Okay, after an hour of beating, swearing, and otherwise being unhappy with this installer, good morning everyone, I'm Papa J. We're back at Papa J's shop, which isn't a shop, it's out in one of the track homes. I've got a really weird one. See what we're doing here. So we've got a pretty standard U-shaped kitchen, and in this case it's made up of multiple blind bases. So this cabinet goes, well, you can't really see, it's dark. This cabinet goes back in there to the left. This is a standard base 33, and this is another blind that goes back in, and I wish we had better light, but hopefully you can at least see that it's a cavern back there. The problem here is when it was installed, there should have been a bigger filler, or they should have pulled it out further right here. And what's going on is we've got the drawer of this cabinet is hitting the hardware on this cabinet. So what they've asked me to do is actually slide this base 33 over about an inch and a half, bring that blind out an inch and a half, and fix this problem. So that's part A of what we're going to try. Should that fail, then we'll have a whole different video, and this one will just go down as, hey, it ain't going to slide, because we do have granite already in place, so this is going to be a challenge. I'm having all kinds of audio issues, and I'm sure you can hear there's echoes everywhere, so I'll probably set this up on the tripod, and you might see my mouth moving, but I'll just voice over most of this and speed up in the boring parts and slow down in the important parts. So I'll get you up on the tripod, we'll get going here. Now you can go up inside the cabinet. You know, I talk about pet peeves all the time. Lazy is a huge one. And in this case, this guy is beyond lazy, because what he did, he put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws across the back of this cabinet. Not a one of them hit a stud. So why bother? If you're not going to hit a stud, why bother even putting a screw in? You just throw the cabinet in and let it sit there. Lazy pisses me off. If you're too lazy to do the job, go work at McDonald's. Seriously. After an hour of beating, swearing, and otherwise being unhappy with this installer, what we've got is all the screws are out, and then I went around the perimeter and cut all of the, oh, you can't see crap. I didn't realize that until I had it pretty well all the way around. Cut the perimeter glue, which is just basically pure silicone. Get you back out here. The next step, I'm going to go right between the two cabinets, but down here at the base where there won't be any marks. If I do have any chips or whatever on the cabinet, it'll be hidden by the toe kick material that goes across the front. I'm getting too old for this crap. So I managed to pull this down a little bit to where I can get up and underneath it, and with any luck, this cabinet's gonna shift. I'd like to get 1.5 inches here, if I can, and it looks like we're gonna succeed. As you can see, our crack here is getting bigger, and now I can use a different bar, myself up off the floor here, and I'm just gonna use, I think, I can get in here with an old-fashioned pry bar and get behind the finished material so that I can pry that right-hand cabinet. There, oops. Well, that was more than I really wanted, but let's see what I got. I can always go back. And I'm at 2 inches. But you know, let's see how much. If I have it, I'm gonna take it. But I need to see how much do I have here. Yeah, I've got 2 inches back here in the blind. I have 2 inches of blind fill still back in there. So I should be safe to leave this here and then pull the blind over to it. And the closer I can get these two to even, you know, the happier everybody's gonna be. So that was really it. So as I finish moving these, once I get everything re-secured, screwed back together, then I'll go back in and I'll redo the silicone underneath it and pump it up between so that it refills that gap, reseals it, or re-secures it, and I don't have to worry about the granite cracking from not having any support, because I'll put the 2 shims back up in there, and I'll probably actually add a couple more. This guy did a horrible job of leveling these cabinets, so I'll try to help that as I go here. This one, I can see the shim there, and I can see the shim on the other side. I'm actually going to bring this right-hand cabinet up just a little to get it closer to where he should have left it, but he didn't, because that's right, he was lazy. Anyway, I'm going to get set up. I've got the next step, now that moves so easy, is going to be to climb up in there and take another whole series of screws out across this back. Yeah, you can see my hand. Across the back there, as well as, I guarantee, there's a bunch of screws here. So once I take those out, with any luck, that's gonna slide, and then all I have to do is trim that out a little bit. That'll kind of dictate things. If that slides easy like this did, that's gonna dictate how far is whether or not you put screws into that filler and how many. So that'll be my next step, and we'll be back shortly, and we'll catch you up once I do a little bit more. Well, it's been another hour, and I finally got the screws out of the second cabinet. This guy, I'll tell you what, I don't like to pick on other guys too awful bad, but I very rarely run into a level of lazy like this. When you put in cabinets, you're supposed to pre-drill all the holes and then hit studs. That particular screw was never pre-drilled, and it ain't into any studs, let me tell you. So, and because he ran it in at an angle, I was only able to get it out just barely enough to get a hold of with a pair of pliers. And then we went from there with a little, eighth of a turn at a time, trying to put my 300-pound fat butt up inside a little tiny cabin. So anyway, our next step now, everything is free. I've got all the screws out as far as I know, and we'll find out for sure here in a second, finally. So I did get some light on the subject, but for this out here where you can see, it doesn't matter. So our next step we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a couple of great big clamps. We're gonna run those in here with my knee in the way. Just enough to put pressure there. Same thing down here. And what I'm going to need to do now is, I had to get this back into position. I'm going to anchor this right-hand cabinet, and then we're going to, get this out of the way, I'm going to skip this step there. I'm going to anchor this right-hand cabinet, and then using the clamps, I'm going to try and draw that blind that I can't get behind over here. The only other choice would be to get in behind it with an airbag or a jack, which I have, but it's buried in the trailer and I don't want to have to take them out. And if we do this right, I won't need to. But let me get the screw back in here. As much as I hate square drive screws, I'm going to use one. Just use it as an anchor here. I have since found the studs. Now we're going to try and slide that blind with our clamps. We're still not holding still. Kind of worked the way I wanted it to. The problem now is we don't have alignment. And getting that is going to be a challenge. I've got to get these two flush and even. And I'm not sure which of one or both has moved. Pretty good top to bottom. So, as we can see, this cabinet fell a great deal. So, the screws that we put in now, and then we can move and work with it as well. Okay, so after a whole lot of swearing and grunting and groaning and some bit of regret, I got everything shifted to where it needs to be. So now we've got that pulled out there to where the drawer isn't going to hit. And just to be safe, I should probably try it, but I know for a fact that I pulled it better than the inch that I needed. So all we have to do now is patch the two little holes that we'll get to at the end of this and screw this, basically put everything back together. We got to get all the screws back in and all the faces screwed back together and the filler cut down a little bit, and we'll get it put back in and we'll be pretty much wrapped up here other than miscellaneous touch-ups. But I'm going to go ahead and get on that, and I'll be back. Alright. So we're going to put this in the right way, not the way that way. And we're going to use the correct screws, not the screws. Drawer track back in. And what did I do with it? Gremlins. Okay. So we'll back up just a little bit here, and you'll be able to see the big door is tiny. Here, and this one goes here, and nothing hits, which was the goal. Let's get rid of that light. So now you can see we're good there, we're good here, and we're good here. And the only thing left I have is a little bit of touch up here, and I noticed some door adjustments. So I guess we're going to call that a success, even if it took 5 times longer than get a bumper on that. Even if it took 5 times longer than what it should have, mostly because of incompetence on the part of the old installer, or miseducation or uneducation. You know, you can't fix stupid and you can't train stupid. Obviously, this guy's lazy. It shortcuts everything and made what would have already been a difficult repair 10 times harder. And if you watch the one short, I complained pretty loudly about, you know, what a cabinet shim was and wasn't, and I got some feedback, and I don't care. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But using a little tiny wedge, as soon as I shifted that cabinet the littlest bit, that wedge popped out, and that's why it fell down like it did. Now I put actual cabinet shims, like the real thing. They're a buck a pack, folks. Don't be cheap. Put those under. Now suddenly this is all leveled out. I am going to throw one more actually in the top here for the granite, because when I readjusted everything, it actually changed where the granite was in relation to the cabinet. So I don't want that. I want it to be the same as it was. I don't want to take any chance of that granite cracking. So I'm going to go around and I'll put several shims around that to make sure it's totally supported everywhere. We had to make a change on our part. They didn't need to change their part. It was correct. So now we have to protect their work so that we don't break it later. I'm going to get my tools all cleaned up, do a little bit of adjustment, some touch up throughout this house so it's ready for delivery tomorrow morning. And I'm going to get on to the next jump. Thanks for joining. I don't know if that was educational, entertaining, or a little bit of neither, but it was such an unusual job. I wanted to try to film it. I wished I had a film crew or at least a camera person. So anyway, I'm Papa J. This is Papa J's shop. And I almost dropped the camera. And that is what it looks like to shift a blind cabinet. Doesn't look like much, but as you saw, quite a bit of work. So I'm gonna sign off, get cleaned up, and get on to the next one. Everybody have a great day, and keep smiling. It makes them all wonder what you're really up to.